There is so much change going on in Toastmasters. Is that correct? Yeah. Right. And the thing that's different about Hawaii is that we have kindness. We have aloha, which doesn't just mean hello, goodbye, peace, love. It means I give you my breath, my life, my energy. Just let's say that together. Aloha. Aloha. Wonderful. And mahalo isn't just thank you. It is thank you for giving me your life energy. Mahalo. Again, say that with me. Mahalo. Wonderful. Wonderful. And at the center of our life is our family, our ohana. Our ohana, right? That's where our life energy is. Just like Suzanne was sharing, she brought her beautiful family here. Family is so important to us. And our extended family is Hanai. And in Toastmasters, we have so many friends and family that help us go through challenging times. Our Hanai family. So the breath is very important. And since you just had lunch, everybody's been sitting. I want us to do the ha breath to energize ourselves. So, would you all stand, please? I want you to reach your hands up high and bring them down and go ha. Wonderful, as loud as you can. We're going to do this 10 times. High, ha, ha, louder, ha, louder, ha, faster, ha, 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 ha. Now, does everybody feel more awake after lunch? Yes. Okay, great. When we go through change, it can feel like a volcano erupting. I've been at Kilauea when it erupted, and I knew that if I fell into that lava, I would be dead in an instant. That's how it feels when we go through a crisis in our lives, a loss of a job, a divorce, a loss of income, a health challenge. After the eruption, the lava begins to slow down as it moves toward the sea. We're still upset about what happens. We're angry, we're mad, but we get used to it, just like the lava flowing into the sea. But then what happens is the lava becomes hard and dry and cold and lifeless, and nothing is growing. That's where people get stuck. And they say, I like things the way they used to be. I don't want to change. But when we can ask what's good about this change and focus on what it is we love, what brings us joy, what we've done is we've planted seeds underneath the hard, cold, dry lava, and they begin to sprout and grow, and pretty soon we have these beautiful islands of Hawaii known as paradise throughout the world. It's the same in our lives. When we can ask what's good about this, have gratitude for all that we have, we can have a beautiful, wonderful life. So we need to always, when we're going through change, ask what's good about this. And remember that change often brings something new and better. Westerners fear change. The word for change in the Hawaiian language is ho'ololi. Embrace the change, ho'ololi. Would you say that with me? Ho'ololi. Just as the ocean embraces the lava as it flows into the sea, what we need to learn to do is embrace change. Here is advice from a volcano. Stay active. Keep your inner fire burning. It's okay to let off steam, but do it appropriately. Go swimming, pound the waves, or go running, or yell and scream in your car, as long as it's safe. Go with the flow. Be uplifting. It's all a matter of time, and have a blast. We have to remember that change keeps happening. Change is inevitable, it's a part of life, and the only certainty is that things will change. When I was in Israel several years ago, my sister came to visit me. She was with a group studying utopian environments, and I was living on a kibbutz. She came to visit me, and she said, "Let's climb up Mount Tabor." And I said, she was an older sister, I said, "Sure, whatever you say." We got to Mount Tabor. The road was long and winding to the top. And so Bonnie said, "Well, let's take a shortcut through the woods." We started hiking through the woods when suddenly this man jumped out of the bushes. He was huge. He had large muscles and squinty black eyes, and he was sweating. He was holding a long stick with a sharp point, and he pointed the stick at me and said, "I want her," in Arabic. My sister, I looked around for a stick, for a rock to throw at him. I said, "Bonnie, let's fight him." And she said, "Put your arm around him." I said, "Are you crazy?" She said, "Put your arm around him." So I put my arm around him. She put her arm around him on the other side. We squeezed him between us. And Bonnie said, "Now hike as fast as you can." And we were hiking through the forest. And every so often, the man would try to pull away and pull me into the bushes. He wanted me, not my sister. She had a lot of acne at that time. And he would say to me, "Kiss me." And my sister Bonnie said, "No, kiss me." And so he stayed with us, and we hiked. I've never been so scared hiking up that mountain. We finally got to the top. There was the monastery. We saw the bridge going across the moat, and at that moment, the man ran into the bushes. I was safe, alive, but safe. My heart was still pounding. I had never been so scared in my life. I said to my sister, "How could you respond with so much love when I reacted in fear?" And she said, "It wasn't love, it was survival. There is no way we would have survived that big man, that we could not have fought him without getting hurt." She said it was survival. My sister Bonnie, instead of reacting, in fear, responded consciously. We need to do that in our lives. When you feel that you're getting angry at somebody, when you're ready to lash out, stop and see if instead of reacting, you can respond. Especially during challenging times of change. One way to embrace change, ho'ololi, would you say that with me again? Ho'ololi, embrace change. One way we can do that is to lead change. And this quote is important. Leading change by taking responsibility for steering change in the best way possible, accepts the inevitability of change, and does something about creating a positive atmosphere. So how do we lead change? We have to expect that change is going to happen, anticipate it, accept it, and enjoy it. Step 2 is to empower others to help you lead the change. Consider who's going to be involved. Build relationships through your shared experiences. We lead change based on our values and our mission. Our values and our mission. What are the values of this organization of Toastmasters? What is our mission? And we lead change. We have to establish urgency in order to change. People tend not to change unless they're forced to. We need a strong reason to change. So in order to create urgency, we must know that change is possible, it's necessary, and it's desirable. And step 5, sometimes we have to move ahead regardless. We try to bring people on board, but sometimes they will leave. But we need to help people through change. And so again, these are the steps. When I worked in Seattle, the mayor wanted to scatter low-income people into upper-income neighborhoods to take away the stigma of being poor. Studies have shown that people become like those they surround themselves with. And everyone in Seattle thought this would be a great idea until those people were going to move into their neighborhoods. And then there was a huge uproar. We don't want these people in our neighborhoods. The mayor called me into his office and he said, Annabel, I want you to go out to all of the neighborhoods and present this program. And I want it to be successful because in 2 years, I want to get reelected. He said, do you think you can do it? And I said, sure. And I thought, no way. So I went out to present the program, and people were yelling and screaming. There was this one man named Tony. He was a wealthy owner of several car dealerships. He came to every single meeting, and he said, we don't want this. And one day, I decided to invite Tony out to lunch. Do you think I tried to push the city's position? Absolutely not. I listened to Tony for 2 hours, and I didn't say a word. He said, Annabel, when I was little, I was so poor. I had holes in my pockets. My stomach would grumble when I would go to sleep at night. But the worst thing was the kids would stand outside of my house that was falling apart, and they would point and they would laugh. The last thing I want is to have these people move into my neighborhood. I don't want to be reminded of how terrible it felt to be poor. As Tony was talking, tears were streaming down his cheeks. Tony and I had several lunches after that. We became great friends. One day he said, "Well, Annabel, why don't we have background checks for all the people?" And then he said, "Well, why don't we give this community a park and this neighborhood some artworks?" And everything Tony suggested, all I said was, "That sounds great, Tony. That's a great idea." Tony became the leader of the scattered site housing program. 2 years later, all of those families had moved into those neighborhoods, and the mayor got reelected. The last time I saw Tony was the only other time I saw him cry. I was ready to leave for graduate school. He gave me a big hug, and he said, "Annabel, we did it." And I said, "No, Tony, you did it. If you had resisted and reacted and rejected the program, it would never have happened. But you embraced this program, and you became the leader, and you made it better than it would have ever been. It happened because of you, Tony." Oh, lowly, embrace the change. Would you say that with me again? Oh, lowly, embrace the change. One way we can change ourselves is to lead change. Embrace the change. We talk about how to handle change that's outside of us. What about when things happen inside to us? How do we handle that? We need to acknowledge our feelings. Allow ourselves to be upset. Ask what's good about this. Remember to do this. Focus on what it is that we love and what brings us joy. And stay positive with our words and actions. Always set short-term goals. Things that you can accomplish and you can say, "That's great, I did that." Appreciate yourself. Look in the mirror every day, like I do. Can you believe it? I look in the mirror and 100 times I tell myself 100 things I'm proud of myself for. Sometimes it's hard to say that many. Be your own advocate. Make a plan. Know the outcome you want. Determine what you can and cannot control. See the end result and then take action. Build relationships. Get support from other people. Get involved in outside activities. Believe in yourself. Stay positive. Don't make decisions out of fear, and always embrace your dreams. Several years ago, I faced a serious health challenge. I didn't know whether I was going to live or die. I joined a support group for people with catastrophic illnesses. It was called Make Today Count at Nu'uanu Congregational Church. The first day I walked in, someone said to me, "Annabel, if you have one day left to live, what would you do?" I said, "I'd go skiing." They said, "Then do it now." I said, "I don't have the money." Somebody said, "Put it on your credit card." I said, well, what if I go into debt? Are you going to pay it off? They said, don't worry, you'll probably die anyway. So I bought my ticket. I flew to Colorado. I took the chairlift to the top of the highest mountain peak. And as I skied down that mountain, I'd fall in the snow and get up and ski some more. I felt so exhilarated. I knew that if this was my last day to live, this was where I wanted to be. There were 3 people in that group who taught me how important it is to follow your dreams, to do what you love to do. There was Lois. Lois came to the group looking very depressed. When we asked Lois what she wanted to do, she said, well, I've always wanted to be a model. But a year ago I had breast cancer. Now there's no way I can do that. But we said, Lois, you should take modeling lessons. And she started taking modeling classes and acting classes. And one day she came running into the group and she said, look, here I am in Honolulu Magazine. I'm modeling. Lois looked so radiant and beautiful. She said to us, finally, I'm living my dream. And then there was Howard. Howard had been a chief executive officer of a major company in Hawaii. When he came to our group, he said, I don't want to be here. My doctor told me to come. But when we asked Howard what he wanted to do, he said, well, I've always wanted to write poetry. And Howard started writing the most beautiful poems and reading them to the group. And one day he said, I just want to thank you. Thank you so much for helping me come back to life again. But the person I will never forget is Maisie. Maisie was 86 years young. Maisie said, there's so much I've wanted to do. I wanted to travel around the world. I've wanted to go back to school. But most of all, I've always wanted to jump out of an airplane so I could fly like a bird. But my husband said, Maisie, your job is to take care of me. And my children said, Mom, don't be so silly. But Maisie said, if I had one day left to live, I'd jump out of an airplane. And then she put her arm around me and she said, dear, why don't we jump together? I said, Maisie, I'm not ready for that much joy. The day came when Maisie was going to have her big jump. Our group went out to Dillingham Airfield to support her. The plane was circling in the sky, and then suddenly Maisie jumped. Her parachute went way to the left and far to the right and way to the left, and it landed far in the distance. Only Maisie didn't get up. All we could see that was left of Maisie was a red and yellow parachute. We went running out to her screaming, Maisie, Maisie, are you okay? Maisie didn't move. I said, Maisie, wake up. Maisie still didn't move. I said, Maisie, if you don't get up, I'm going to give you mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And she sat up, and she laughed and laughed, and she said, that was the most fun I have ever had. I can't wait to jump again. I learned an important lesson from Maisie and Howard and Lois that day. That life is very precious. And even though I'm healthy today, we need to do what we love to do. We must follow our dreams no matter what changes are happening in our life or in the world. because life is so very precious. Follow your dreams. Ho'ololi. Embrace our dreams. Ho'ololi. Remember, when you're going through change, to respond consciously instead of reacting. Remember to become a leader so that you can embrace change instead of resist it. And remember, do what you love to do. Would you say that with me again? Ho'ololi. Say it louder. Ho'ololi. Embrace the change. One more time. Ho'ololi. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Annabel. On behalf of District 49, we'd like to present to you for your dedicated service and message, handling change in challenging times, Toastmasters International District 49, May 5th Spring Contest. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.